Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more slug testing, and today we've got another slug that we have not tested yet, so I'm definitely excited to see what it can do. I had one of you guys request these here recently, and I just so happened to have them sitting on the shelf just waiting to be filmed, so I figured, hey, I'll grab them when I come out here and do some slug testing and we'll see what they can do. But for those slugs, we've brought out some more of the classic Remington Slugger rifled slug loads. These ones are the 12 gauge 3-inch 1-ounce slug at 1760 feet per second. So usually we're testing a lot of 2 3/4 stuff, so maybe these being a 3-inch might give us a touch better accuracy than some of the other ones do. I have no idea. I know that these are one of the most commonly used 12 gauge slugs for deer hunting scenarios and stuff like that. So if they've been used for as long as they have, then they should do halfway decently, I would imagine. So we'll see how it performs through my particular shotgun today. And as for that shotgun, I brought out my Remington 870. This one's got a 24-inch, completely smooth bore barrel on it. We're going to be running the stock improved cylinder choke. Nothing fancy there. Up on top, I have a Hawk Vantage IR with their muzzleloader slug gun reticle in it. Very nice scope for the money, that's for sure. And overall, this is a nice little slug gun setup. Now, as for details, yes, we do have a receiver mounted scope on this one. I do have every screw marked with little white dots so we can see if anything comes loose. As for our barrel tension, it's not pinned or anything like that. Everything is going off the magazine cap. I have it torqued to hand tight and then 3 extra clicks past hand tight with some witness marks on it so we can see if it comes loose or if the barrel tension changes at all. So far, this setup has been perfect in all of our testing with it, so I think we should be perfectly fine here, but it could potentially be a factor sometimes if you have a receiver mounted scope like this and that magazine cap is not tightened properly. But we'll see how this 870 does with these 3-inch Remingtons today. So as for our test, we're going to run it the same as we typically do. We're going to shoot 2 groups, one at 50 yards and another at 100 yards, all of which will be through the chrono so we can be getting our velocities. Might not be a perfect test, but I've only got so many of these and I've got some other chokes I want to run them through as well. So to get our baseline with just an improved cylinder, that's what we're going to do, and it should give us an idea on if this is a decent combo at all. So let's get you guys set up with a view of those targets. We'll shoot our groups. I will have to let the gun cool down for 5 or 6 minutes or so between the 50 and 100 yard group as I move the target, so barrel heat shouldn't be too much of an issue for us. So let's take our shots and see what we can get from these 3-inch 1-ounce Remington Sluggers. Alright, so let's take a look at our velocities real quick before we look at our target. I apologize for the glare on the chrono. The sun is kind of all over the place this morning, but the boss claim was 1760, and we were not seeing that. But that does not surprise me. We only have a 24-inch barrel. They probably tested it through a 28 or potentially even a 30 to get that claim. But still, if we were in the 1500s, that's plenty good enough for a 12-gauge slug on a deer hunt scenario. But our high was 1593. The low was 1511. That gave us an average of 1555 with an extreme spread of 82 and a standard deviation at 25. So at an average of 1555, here are your energy numbers for a 1-ounce slug at that velocity. Like I just mentioned, more than good enough for your average deer hunt scenario. That's going to get the job done all day long, but it is a little bit shy of their claim as well, from our shorter barrel anyway. But how accurate were they? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so here's our target, and we definitely saw some pretty interesting results. Now, right off the bat, I did double check everything, both as we were shooting our groups and after the fact as well. The scope is perfectly fine, nothing has come loose, the choke didn't come loose, the magazine cap didn't come loose and change the tension of our barrel or anything like that, so we're all good there for anybody who might have been curious. But we'll start over here on the left with our 50-yard group. We had 2 shots that were pretty much in the same hole as each other. They created one just big hole in the target and one that was just a little bit off. So I was hoping we could group 3 of them in the same hole, but not quite. Either way, that's still perfectly usable for 50 yards, and it gave us a 1.83-inch spread, so not bad overall. But now we'll move over to our 100-yard target. We had 2 bullet holes pretty much touching each other again, one to the right and one over here, just on the edge of the target. Our first 3 shots were these 2 right here and this guy all the way on the edge. So after seeing these 2 pretty well touching each other and one flyer way over here to the right, I felt good about all of the trigger pulls today, so I figured why not? Maybe it was a little bit of an inconsistent flyer. We'll take a 4th shot just to give it the benefit of the doubt, and that is this guy right here. So once again, still kind of strung it off just a little bit. So it kind of seems like we have a little bit of the same thing going on, where we have 2 that are pretty well in the same hole with a little bit of a strung out flyer on occasion. It's pretty well the same there and out at 100 as well. So I'll measure this group both with that far right one over to here and with the 3 better shots as well, so you guys have both numbers. So with that farthest right group, it's 6.15 inches, but with our 3 better shots, we had right at 3.89, so just under 4 inches for those 2 bullet holes and that one. Overall, I wouldn't say it's too terrible. It would certainly get the job done. It's minute of deer for sure. I would like to see a little more consistency out of them. Even if we could consistently hold a 3.5-inch group or so out at 100, I would be okay with that. But if we're stringing little flyers every so often, I'm not a huge fan of that in particular, but at least we have a pretty decent starting point here. These are definitely not terrible, and hopefully I think we can probably tune them in just a little bit with the right choke. Maybe going to a modified might tighten that group down a little. Maybe going to a Carlson's rifle choke, which is something I'm going to test as well. That might help them out. Either way, for a deer hunt scenario, it would be good enough. So if nothing else, we've got a pretty decent starting point to work off of from here, I would say. Alright y'all, well, what'd you think about those results right there? Like I already mentioned, I think it's a decent start. At 50 yards, that's going to get the job done any day of the week. Out to 100, it's still definitely minute of deer out there, but I would like to see a little bit more consistency out of it, personally anyway. Maybe with the right choke, we can dial that in just a little bit more, but for a basic rifled slug load, that's not too bad overall. And we can definitely work from there, that's for sure. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 3-inch Remington Sluggers, and if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a combo you would ever deer hunt with, or would you prefer to see a little bit tighter grouping than that? And what other chokes or slug combos do you want to see us run when it comes to that 870 or those Remington Sluggers or anything like that? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, you have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.